huge grid, a full grid of 40 cars of production, saloon and sports cars. So let's see if we can take our way through this big grid ahead of their 45-minute race. We've got on pole position then John Cooper, who's alongside Jamie White. On row 2 is Paul Sheard and the Dominic Bush car. On row 3, Flynn Jones and Marco Ricci. On row 4, David May and David Govery. On row 5, Stuart Donovan and David Sheed. On row 6, Ollie Wright and Robert Contrail. On row 7, Zachary Lucas and Tom Stanway. Row 8 for Rowan Lundy and for Jose Billy-Moria. On row 9, Chris Payne and Jeremy Crook. Row 10, we'll see Colin Newbold and Ivor Mares. Row 11 for Scott Ferguson and George Grant. On row 12, Richard Daniels and Nick Rutter. Row 13 for Oliver Fuller and Craig Butterworth. On row 14, Seamus Heaney and Richard Bartlett. Row 15 for Georgia Speed and Oak Richardson. Row 16, Scott Wright and Stuart Humphrey. On row 17, David Fender and Luke Souch. Row 18 for Dean Clayton and Chris Godden. Row 19, Tom Hodgson and Matthew Spencer. And on row 20, Jeremy Banks and David Thomas. So a full capacity grid of 40 cars for this BRSCC Clubsport Trophy. A 45-minute race with a pit stop in the middle. A pit duration of 2 minutes, which can take place between 15 and 20 minutes. 5 main classes in this are based on power to weight ratio. So Class A is for cars up to 235 brake horsepower per tonne, Class B for cars up to 205, Class C 175, D 155 and Class E up to 135 brake horsepower per tonne. There's also a class for Mazda MX-5 Mark IV trophy cars and the invitational class, which is mainly here for Ford Fiestas that can run, which basically run to the Fiesta Championship spec and therefore can run on full racing slick or wet weather tyres, which is not the case for the main Clubsport Trophy cars. They're on treaded tyres, and this huge grid of production, sports and saloon cars. It's absolutely fantastic to see this huge grid, and in the wet qualifying session this morning, able to utilise our wet racing tyres. The top 3 cars on the grid are all these Fiesta Championship cars were racing at Alton Park yesterday. John Cooper, Jamie White and Zachary Lucas. The best of the Clubsport Trophy main class competitors was Paul Sheard. He's on pole in Class B. Class A is the Mark and Flynn Jones Volkswagen Golf. Class C on pole there is Stuart Donovan in the Toyota Celica. Class D for Ollie Wright's Toyota MR2 and Class E for Oliver Fuller's BMW Compact. The red light's already on and 45 minutes of racing for the BRSCC Clubsport Trophy gets underway. The Caterham makes a poor start. That's not a car you want to be swamped on by much bigger machines. That's Chris Payne, but he's got away now, and it's the Fiesta there that leads of John Cooper. Paul Sheard's made a good start in the Mark IV Mazda, and he's into second place. This great mix of cars, including the Mark I Toyota MR2 there. That's 128, I think, that works its way through the field, but it is Cooper that leads. Sheard is second. In third position, that's Jamie White. I think the Nissan 350Z's made a good start there with David Mays that he shares with Mark Skeet. He started 8th. He's gained positions. You've got 46 in there. That's the Tony Rogers, who I think he should have been replacing Finn Jones, but that's not replicated on the timing screen. So we say it's Finn and Mark Jones, unless we hear otherwise. Down towards Brooklands Corner they come. Then you've got the David Sheed BMW Compact, the M3 powered car involved in there. We've got some of the Mazdas back out. They haven't had enough racing for today. They're back out again, including George Grant there in the Clapham North car. But they come out of Luffield, do the leaders for the first time of 45 minutes. And Paul Sheard has got through then, so he's passed all the Fiestas at the start of the race. So he started in 4th place. And according to the timing screen, he's now being shared in that car with Mike Comber. So that's an addition to the entry. John Cooper is second. Third is the 95 car, which is Tom Stanaway, who started 14th. He's third already in his BMW. 4th is Ollie Samways in the MR2, the modified car. 5th is David Mays Nissan, and 6th is 222, which is David Govery. So an entertaining first lap there, Scottish drivers make their way up the order in these drier conditions compared to wet qualifying.
Yeah, there's a little bit of skirmish in 1 or 2 towards the front. You see the Sheed and Edison BMW, just a little twitch as he went into Beckett's there for the second time, but a magnificent mix of cars as they made their way through the first few turns. And I think there was a bit of a skirmish or a situation at Cops which we happened towards the front. We kind of broke up the first 5 or 6 cars because a big gap now going forwards towards the back. Well, that's the Tom Hodgson car. That's the ex-Mark Court car. Mark Court that's out with Colin Newbold in the Honda Integra DC5 Type R, which has that replica spoon livery on it. So I was talking to Bart this morning. He's racing against his own old car, which is someone thought was quite a novel idea. Changed from a lead though, because Tom Stanway in that BMW with the Super Tour S body kit's now gone to the lead, and it's now the Sheard and Mike Comber Mark IV MX-5 into second place, whereas it seems that Ollie Stanway's up to third place. And these Turbo Fiestas that came across in the Fiesta Championship, they're not being allowed to have the run around all their way. They've got the first 3 spots on the grid, but they're actually having to really fight hard here, particularly here with the 370Z of May and Skeets.
Yeah, I suspect their tyre choice is rather more difficult, because of course they can run on their championship racing tyres as they're in the invitational class, but it's sort of not wet nor dry really, and therefore it's perhaps hurting them a bit. There's the MR2. This is Ollie Samways in this, the Rogue Motorsport built Super GT as it was MR2s. That championship didn't last very long, but Ollie Samways has brought this car out into the BRSCC Clubsport Trophy and going well in third place. He's come over from kit car racing recently. There's the 350Z, which is the shared car between David Mays and Mark Skeets. You've got the Toyota Celica out too. That's 112. That is Stuart Donovan, who was on pole in Class C. Or the 350Z's had a problem here, hasn't it? The David May car been involved in something. There was lots of tyre squirrel heading into Brooklands, and he gets back going behind the David Sheed BMW Compact, which runs the M3 engine.
So John Cooper also running well. He had some technical problems yesterday in the first race at Alton Park, and it's great that some of these drivers have come across all the way from Alton, about 2 hours southeast from Alton Park, to get themselves here for this race. I think there's a little bit of not only just a good race, I think there's also a little bit of testing going on with some tweaking on these setup on these Turbo Fiestas, which is always a handy thing. There's number 46 Golf. That's the Mark Jones car. And he's also been chased down by a brilliant looking Mini with Firo's Billamori at the wheel of it as well. So all sorts going at the front. And it pretty much looks as though, apart from the BMW, it's mostly the front wheel drive machines at the front that have the advantage, which I think isn't surprising me in some of these adverse conditions, because in that situation you do want front wheel drive for more grip, whereas rear wheel drive is just oversteer city. And even though he's still staying towards the front, at least, well, I say that, the first 3 cars are all rear wheel drive. And now we've got possibly making it the first 4, because I've spoken too soon, because David Sheed puts the BMW Compact up the inside of John Cooper, and that's now up into 4th position. So I completely reversed what I just said, because it's now the first 4 cars are all rear wheel drive. Could even be now first 5 because then you've got the main Skeets 370Z. So I'm a commentator, but it proves I know absolutely nothing in this case. And so it's good to see the 230Z recovering after its little spin, but it's a nice healthy mix of cars at the front of the grid. It's exactly what Clubsport Trophy is all about. All these different clubman level type races, all battling at the front, all different classes. And the beauty of it is that you might have cars that aren't in what we can see the quickest classes, like classes B and C, but they're still, depending on the driver's skill and the setup and the weather conditions, can still be up there and battling as hard as they can. I mean, you've got here the Invitation Turbo Fiestas having a great scrap with the, I think that's the Class B Honda Civic Type R. That's the ex-Civic Cup car with Jeremy Crook and Alex Lively at the wheel, to ex-MX-5 Super Cup races. Now got this Honda that Jerry's purchased, and certainly enjoying himself. So lots of good action there already, and we've only had roughly about 6 or so minutes, so it's great to see so much tussling. And we've still got the pit stops to come still, Josh, as well. The
Mini there, that's for Rose Billy Moria, the former British GT racer. He raced the Holden Monaro in that championship, a decade and a half ago. He's got this Mini out now, and he's running just inside the top 10, in fact, going well. He's just behind the Toyota Celica there of Stuart Donovan, who was trying to get himself ahead of Jamie White. So this is the battle for 8th position. White's actually parked, so that the Celica's losing positions. That's what's happening there. It's a bit got a bit less power, of course, because it runs in Class C. So you've got in 9th place is White, 10th is now Billy Moria, and then it's side by side behind between the Zach Lucas Fiesta and the Toyota there is Stuart Donovan as they head down towards Cops Corner. The fastest up of the race goes the way of Ollie Samways in the Toyota. He's done a 69.785. He's 4 seconds behind the leader, though. Tom Stanaway still heads the way in the BMW. Second is Paul Sheard's Mazda. Then third is Samways in the Toyota. Fourth, David Sheed's BMW. Fifth, coming up through the order, is David May in the Nissan. Then John Cooper, the poleman, has dropped to 6th in his Ford Fiesta. Here's the Golf of Finn Jones. He's in a new Golf to him because his other one got rather smashed up here at Silverstone earlier in the season in a different category. So he's got a new car, and he's out with Mark Jones, who's raced a variety of cars over the last couple of seasons. Lap traffic now, I think, is coming into play, and that's going to be very much the case in this busy 40-car field around this pretty short circuit here at Silverstone, and a big variety of cars, which is absolutely what this is all about. Clubsport Trophy for production, sports and saloons. One for the pit lane, that's John Cooper, was it?
Yeah, it was John Cooper in, so I don't know if it's maybe a legacy of some of the problems he had yesterday at Alton Park, which is a shame if that's the case, and he was running pretty strong at that point. He was up as high as about roughly 6th or 7th, so not good for John Cooper, and I think possibly, I hope it's not an early end to his race. I just noticed there the couple of cars that were lapping. We had the Tom Hodgson X-Mark Court for Fiesta SI that was battling for the Fiesta Championship a few years ago when they still had the older cars racing, and also in there we had the Georgia Mills and Georgia Speed and Matt Mills car. We've got double wave yellows on the approach now to Maggots and Beckett's, but at the moment we know reason not sure why. There's the two BMW 116s now about to be lapped by the lead. In fact, there's been a change for the lead, in fact, because that's now the shared... No, sorry, forgive me. I was getting caught up. I'm getting caught up between Stanway and Stanway. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So Stanway still leads, and it's now a gap of roughly... I think it's closed up a little bit between the shared and Combo Mark IV and the Ollie Stanway. It's just coming past a pair of BMW 116s. And then the next one they're lapping is Matthew Spencer.
Safety car is being released, I'm afraid. So whatever's happened down there at Beckett obviously ain't great. We have lost car 50, which is another of the Fiestas. That's the Marco Ricci and David Nye car. So whether it's that...
Oh dear.
Yes, it's that car.
Goodness
and it's gone over at Beckett's, which is quite an unusual place to do that. It's quite a long way off the road as well, so I'm not terribly sure what's happened. Don't think we lost any other cars in that incident.
Do you think, and I'm going to hypothesise here, because we had the John Cooper Fiesta heading into the pit lane, do you think maybe that might have had something to do with it?
Well, normally you'd say maybe, but they weren't together, were they? The Ricci car was, if that's right, down in 35th? No, not sure that's accurate actually, but yeah, they weren't together really, were they? So not unless we saw something happened out of view, but yeah, that's a slightly unusual one. Is that slick tyres that car was on? Looks like it, yeah. That way, yeah. So that's going to take a little while, and I suspect this is going to take us into the pit stop window, which means we're going to have 40 cars probably coming into the pits at the same time. Another car that's pitted early is the Roan Lundy Toyota Celica, he's been quick this year in that car in other categories, but he's pitted out of something like 13th position, so that's obviously a problem because the pit window not yet open. So it's going to be a few moments' time, and I can't imagine, Scott, they're going to get this done in 5 minutes before the pit window opens.
No, I think the first and foremost thing is obviously, hopefully, whether it was Marco Ricci or David Nye, hopefully whoever's at the wheel of it is okay.
Yeah, I think he's out already out the car.
And obviously, as a precaution, they'll always take him to the medical centre just to get checked over by the Chief Medical Officer. We've got just past the window here, we had the 111 cars, another Fiesta in the pit, and that was the Zachary Lucas car, and so and the Jamie White cars there as well. So these Turbo Fiestas, they're not having the best of luck at the moment because we've had John Cooper in, Jamie White in, Zach Lucas, and then the unfortunate incident we've had with the Nye and Ricci car. So wherever you look, it seems to be these Turbo Fiestas are having a little bit of not the smoothest afternoon, I think we can say.
But of course, quick mention for them, talking about the Fiesta Championship out yesterday. It's got new sort of look to the Fiesta Championship this year. Yeah,
absolutely. So they were testing last year. We had in a couple of the races, we had these invitation class, essentially the Fiesta ST180s, but they've had a bit of a power hike. So the class that we give them is the ST240 class because they're now 240 horsepower, and they're now running as pretty much now the dominant class of the two, because last year they ran as an invitation. They'd also did a couple of these Clubsport Trophy races as well in the invitation classes. They used it as very much a development year last year to get them to get to grips with them, to start developing in terms of suspension setup, to see what was working on the cars, and it's brought quite a few of the drivers that were regulars in the ST150s over into these new cars. It's also brought back some drivers who were racing previously back. So we had Stuart Robbins back yesterday, Alistair Kellett's back, of course, with his example as well, and a couple of others also joining in too. So, and there's more of those cars in build, and there'll be more should be coming along as the season progresses. So class leaders at this stage. In Class A, it's Ollie Samways in the Toyota MR2 Super GT. In Class B, it is Tom Stanaway in the BMW
328i. In Class C, it's Stuart Donovan in the Toyota Celica. In Class D, it is the Nick Rutter Mazda MX-5. And in Class E, it's Oliver Fowler in the BMW Compact. So that's the leaders of the classes. You can see the top 20 order on your screen on the left hand side of your picture. How it sits at the moment behind the safety car. The leader had lapped everybody up to 31st position, and somebody who's very much in the BRSCC family, Luke Souch, is the first car that's been lap, Scott.
Yeah, and of course Luke is joining the HQ team very shortly. He's the competitions coordinator, so he kind of the addition to the HQ team now, which kind of completes the puzzle of putting everything together, the team which the club's been building the last couple of years, which is excellent. And of course he's been very busy, of course, today in many cases, because over this weekend, because he was racing in the MX-5 Clubman Championship. And then we had of course, the BRSCC Clubsport Trophy this afternoon, and currently sitting at the moment, I think he's sixth in class at the moment. So making his way up steadily up the field to try and get towards the front. So I wanted to quick mention about Oliver Fowler actually, because he's of course now a front runner in the BMW Compact Cup this year. He took a victory at Croft, then he gave the Clubsport Trophy a try as a little bit of extra track time and quite enjoyed it, and it's nice to see him back out. There it is, the kind of the grey and yellow BMW just heading through the shot there. So he's a formidable driver, not just in amongst cars of its own kind, because he wasn't able to make it out for the last rounds we had at Knock Hill, but he was out of Croft and did a great job there, and then won his class, and he enjoyed it so much he's now back for a solo run without any other sort of really compacts around him, which is nice to see. So it's nice to see cars that aren't competing on the weekends, that other weekends where they normally would have a situation where, like he was then, competing in the Compact Cup and then doing the Clubsport on the same weekend, which is the idea to allow cars from several championships to take part. It was nice to some of their own accord to come in and actually race on weekends where their main championship isn't competing. It just shows the nice crossover between the Clubsport and the other mixture of championships which the BRSCC runs, that these drivers can enjoy races like this so much that they can come back. One of the Toyotas in the pits, that's the Rowan Lundy car that's in for an early stop. Well, not a scheduled one, because the pit window's not open as far as I'm aware, not yet. So it's coming up to now, 15 minutes, and it's all going on at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the pit window probably open before the cars get to the line next time, so if drivers realise that, they might be pitting, or they might not quite make it. It's going to be tight whether it's the pit window is open by the time they get there. So that could be interesting to see if any advantage is gained. Not sure what the progress is down at Beckett's with removing the problemed Fiesta of Marco Ricci and David Nye. Well, the safety car staying out at least this time. We're currently on 30 minutes and 30 seconds to go, so the pit window not quite yet open for our leader, which is Tom Stanaway in that BMW 328i. Second position is Paul Sheard in the Mazda MX-5. Third is Ollie Samways in the Toyota MR2. Now David Sheed and Malcolm Edison cars going for the pits. It's not open yet though, so are they going to make it? They're going to go slow enough, so it's 30 minutes in. Let's see. 30 minutes is now up. So the pit window is now open, and now the car triggers across the beam. So that is in just for David Sheed and Malcolm Edison. Edison, who coaches David Sheed, they race that car in a lot of places, and they've been around the Clubsport Trophy since its inception. Still a new category, really, this got to the BRSCC portfolio, and we're going to have another similar kind of category being introduced later on in the year. Yeah,
so with the Clubsport, we introduced it in 2019. The first race we had at Brands Hatch, and the after we had that at Donington Park, because there's the Sheed and Edison BMW. The Ivor Mares as the MX-5 is in as well, and also so is David Thomas in the Toyota MR2 Mark 1.
Looks like it's Edison getting out of the car, so David Sheed will be getting into it.
Okay. So we debuted it at Brands Hatch and Donington. Both got incredible sold-out grids. That's then carried over, thankfully, to the shortened season we had last year with the four races that we put on for Clubsport. We did Cabell Park, then here at Silverstone in September, and then we did Donington Park, and then we finished off at Croft. And so far, everyone who's done the Clubsport Trophy has really enjoyed it. They've loved the race, and they've loved the competition within the classes. It's been fantastic. And as you rightly say, there's a new series that's going to make its debut next month, end of next month at Silverstone. So we're going to run the Supersport Endurance Cup, which is kind of introducing some more faster, bigger engine cars. So we're looking at more kind of GT4s and TCRs and kind of V8 BMWs and more kind of race prepared sort of production-based Porsches and that side. And there's been a really good uptake in terms of interest. First few entries are coming in already, and it's looking really exciting. So if anyone has got a car like that, then they can get involved. There's looks like, was that Malcolm Edison getting out, giving a thumbs up to the camera, so his job's done already. And I think this might have been quite a nicely timed pit stop for them, because if they're doing it under safety car course, they've done it just as the pit window opens. That's actually a really crafty bit of timing from them to actually break the beam, because they broke the beam after the pit window opened, so it's a legal pit stop. And I think this could be a real advantage here. We had something similar to the Silverstone race last year when some cars were pitting under the safety cars that we had, and that really helped them in terms of leapfrog everyone and gain position. So I suspect that when racing now the pit lane's open, we're going to get another influx of cars coming in. Tom Stanway's not one of them, but the Sheardon and Combo car is, as is also Ollie Sandway's, and the main Skeets car. David Guthrie's in. So almost everyone's coming in, because you've got the Toyota of Donovan, Jeremy Crook cars in, the Jones and Jones Golf, Tom Hodgson. So several cars shooting to pit on this first proper time around after the pit window opened. But I suspect this is now going to be, I think, briefly, given the pace of everyone else, advantage now Sheedon Edison for their early pit stop, as we see everyone charging in to make their pit stops in what is always a frantic time in pit lane.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody behaves themselves down there in the pit lane. It's a long pit window, so there's no need to rush things. That's all part of the idea. So Tom Stanway stayed out. Also staying out was the Colin Newbold and Mark Court Honda Integra. Also staying out 42, the Richard Daniels and Lewis Judd Fiesta. 99 stayed out, that's Nick Rutter's MX-5. Recovery's almost complete at Beckett's. 77 stayed out, Seamus Heaney's MX-5. The 72 Butterworth, Craig and Gary's Clio stayed out. 478 stayed out, which is Richard Bartlett's MX-5. 90, Jamie White is back into the race and on that lead lap still. So whoever that pit stop was for him, it was a short one, but he didn't come back in the pits. And the same goes, I think, for Zach Lucas's Fiesta. You can see now how busy it is in the pits. Some drivers obviously going solo, so therefore staying in the cars and basically just sitting there for a couple of minutes, while others have to change drivers.
Another Arsenal championship, but if you're running solo, you have to jump out, run around the car, then jump back in it again. So, but I think for some of these drivers, they're being allowed to sit in there. That's David May, who obviously started the car, so he's now obviously handed over to the Irishman Mark Skeets. Those two, of course, well versed in the BMW Compact Cup in years past, and they did actually compete last year in the Clubsport Trophy in a BMW 330i. It was an E46 generation car, but since then they've now changed over to this rather beautifully prepared Jamsport Run Nissan 370Z. There's also a unique car in the background, which is the Caterham 21, which is the David Fender car, which I think is the only racing example in Europe, if I'm correct. It was a rare sports car to begin with, but well, that's interesting as well, that Jeremy Cook, Alec Livesey are having to pick its way through cars to get out of pit lane. So again, they don't need to tell me that it's quite a traffic jam down there in the pit lane at the moment. You don't realise how big a Nissan 350Z is until you see it around these other cars. It really is a big machine, isn't it? Yeah. I think they debuted that here at Silverstone at the end of last year at the Burkitt Relay, and particularly some pictures I saw with the Caterhams and things like that, it looked absolutely massive. Oh, well, is this going to become the club racing meme version of the BMW M8 meme now? That's a large car. Someone's probably going to make that now. Second set of cars coming in, including our leader, Tom Stanway's in the BMW. Also so is Matthew Spencer. We've got the Godins in there, 116. We've got Nick Rutters in as well in the MX-5. Oh, and that was close. That was the 77 MX-5 just coming in as David Fender went to go out. I think we're very lucky not to get some kind of a collision there, thankfully. David Fender's car sprouted a rear wing since I last saw that Caterham 21. There are still a few cars that haven't pitted, so the new leader will be the Colin Newbold and Mark Court Honda Integra. They haven't pitted. 42 still hasn't pitted, so that is Richard Daniels and Lewis Judd. The Butterworths haven't pitted too, and I think some of that is because they are two driver teams. The first driver wants them racing laps, and obviously they haven't had many yet, so I suspect that is the reason. But of course it doesn't help their race. I love the fact that Tom Stanway's having a very casual chat, then finds time to have a quick sort of like smile and thumbs up to the camera whilst he's having his pit stop. So, but this is the great thing about this sort of series, is that anyone who comes into it, they always give the same thing. They love the atmosphere. They think it's nice, fun, enjoyable races, and everyone enjoys the competition and the variety of classes in the mix as well. It's wonderful how it's taken off, and full credit to everyone involved in the BRSCC for when it started in 2019 with the first 2 races to get to where we are now, where it's firmly becoming and being established now as one of the most popular and best supported series out there. So running well so far, and obviously now we get the situation where we don't really truly know where everyone is, because everyone's now pretty much almost everyone's made their pit stops, but everyone needs to shake out in terms of the order in the pit stops.
And what's more confusing is these Fiestas that pitted out of the pit window haven't come back in again, but basically they're the leading pit stopper. But as far as I understand, they're not mandatory stops.
No, I'd agree with that in any case. So all their pit stops were unscheduled. So, I think you're right. They are going to think that it'll particularly be Zachary Lucas, John Cooper, and Jamie White. I think they've all got to make a mandatory pit stop, which means if we kind of take them out of play on that one, the other cars that have made pit stops, because this is behind the safety car currently, this does effectively give the lead at the moment now, as we see. I think the last 3 cars, three of the last 5 cars that haven't pitted yet, this now does give the lead to the Sheedon Edison BMW, which is just coming in through Woodcote now. There's the Zachary Lucas car. It's a slightly different looking car when he had Croft, when he had a car identical to that John Cooper was driving with the Simply Car Sales livery, but really nice metallic green on that car now, which is looking good. But yeah, this effectively now, as far as I can see, gives the lead to the Sheedon Edison BMW, and it's working out behind them who's second. I think second place is going to be the Sheard and Comber car behind them in second place. Yes, it is. So, and then through all of that pit stop sequence, also now up to third, it seems, is Firoz Billamori in that brilliant looking Mini Cooper. So that appears to be the top 3, but of course we've still got cars that either haven't pitted or have pitted and they're showing at the top of the timing screen, which need to come back around again. So all sorts going on. There's the pit stop going on between Richard Daniels and Lewis Judd, and that's their Mark 4 Fiesta that's in its current pit stop phase at the moment.
Yes, because this pit window's been this safety car's been so long, those who were hoping to get some more racing laps have finally given up and come in, because the safety car's been out now for about 13 minutes. So unfortunately, it's taken a big chunk of this race out for the competitors. There's Oak Richardson, who went well yesterday in the MX5 Clubman Championship, got on the podium overall, was battling for a win as well. More driver changes going on down in the pit lane there. We've only actually lost, I think, 2 cars in this race. The one that went over at Beckett's, and then the Roan Lundy's Toyota Celica that came in early and hasn't resumed, but everybody else is still going. So 38 cars waiting patiently to resume the race. The actual leader, because he hasn't pitted yet, is Richard Bartlett in his Mazda MX-5 Mark 1. Which I think is an unlikely car to lead one of these races, but obviously that's not done on sort of true performance.
Lights are out in the safety car.
And it's going to be led by this 116 trophy car, which has grown a hideous big rear wing. It was actually raced by Jimmy Broadbent earlier on in the season at Cadwell Park, but I'm not really sure what that rear wing does, but there you go. The race is about to get underway though, led probably by about the slowest car on the grid, so it's going to get very busy as they head down towards Copse Corner. So Richard Bartlett's the actual leader, Jamie White is second and Zachary Lucas is third, but none of them have made mandatory stops from what we can work out. So David Sheed is the actual leader by about 10 seconds over the Sheard and Comber MX5. Then for Rhodes Bilimoria, the third of the stoppers. Fourth is 222, which is David Govery's Ford Fiesta, and here they all come down towards Beckett's Corner. It's super busy out there. There's the what we think is going to be the eventual leader, which is David Sheed in the BMW Compact, car number 13, that runs the 3.2 litre M3 engine. It's a very rapid car that is, and they head down towards Brooklands then. This is the actual lead battle then between Jamie White and Zach Lucas, 90 and 111 on the timing screens at least. There's David Sheed then back in his compact. He's done lots of races already this season. He was involved in that incident I mentioned earlier this season here at Silverstone, but that car wasn't too badly damaged, so they've been able to have more races in it. So their gap was 10 seconds over the Sheard and Comber Mazda, so that's the gap to watch, Scott.
Yeah, and that's going to be intriguing to watch out in that one. It was almost like kind of just going out the pit lane. I'm presuming it's Mark Court that's at the wheel of that car now. So Mark Court must have looked at Virus and thought, right, I've got to run away now, because he saw just a huge charging pack of cars led by these very powerful turbo Fiestas bearing down him pretty quickly. So that's what we want to see. The Jeremy Banks and Edward Raprager BMWs now also have been caught by several cars. Now there goes the Firoz Bilimoria car, and then behind it is the Sheard and Comber car, which looks like that's a change of position, at least we think, once everything's shaken out between those two. So that's now going to be a change for, well, what will now is currently now technically what we think is net third place, although amazingly still in second place is Richard Barlett in his Mazda MX-5 Mark 1. So you can't fault his effort, because that car certainly is hanging on. It's actually holding its own, amazingly in some cases, against, well, I thought it was for a second, but it's not, because I thought it was holding its own against the Fiesta, but it's not, because that car's so much more powerful. But impressive stuff from him to hold on as long as he has. But of course, as we remember, as we said, he's yet to make that mandatory pit stop, as we suspect also is our current top two Fiestas in the pack as well.
Yeah, slightly confusing really what's going on there, why those three cars haven't made a pit stop in the window. So Feroz Bilimoria then getting past the Mark IV Mazda and pulling away in what is kind of net second place as we see it. Then coming through here, you can see the Scott Ferguson, I should say, Mazda MX-5 Mark 1 that's got the bigger engine in it, so is quicker than some of the other examples. Fastest lap of the race is done by Tom Stanaway, a 69.545, the early leader, who's currently 10th overall. You've got in there the MR2 of Ollie Samwaite, who's 8th overall. He's got the BMW close to him, so that's two of the quickest cars in the race. The BMW's on the grass, a pass of multiple cars on the grass there for Tom Stanaway, but he didn't get past the MR2 that he's racing with for position, the car of Ollie Samwaite, but he did get past the Fiesta there, 222, which is David Govery's car, which has got the big rear wing on it, as they exit Beckett's, that is, heading down towards Brooklands. So you've got the Nissan in there too, not far away, which has got Mark Skeets in it now. It's very busy still here as they turn their way in towards Brooklands. Tom Stanaway up the inside of the Ferguson Mazda, and he gets through. He's still chasing then after this the Samaway's Toyota, and these two cars should progress through the field, Scott.
I think I have to say these are two of my favourite cars in the field, the Toyota and the BMW. They are fantastic looking cars, and they're also very well driven and very well prepared. So good to see sort of Tom Stanaway back. I think his intention is to do the full season in this season. He's got that course. It's like a super touring inspired body kit on the car. It just sweeps past one of the Mini Coopers on the pit straight. But a nice battle developing here between two cars that are in two different classes, but the way they're being driven at the moment and the way they're performing, you wouldn't really think it. It's fantastic to see this comparison, of course, because the Samway's Toyota is in Class A and the BMW is in Class B, but they're very well evenly matched, and he might have a possible dive up the inside into Beckett's here, and he has gone up the inside of a Toyota, and he's kind of not just let him have it, but kind of rather than fight it too much, he realises if I fight too much I'm going to lose more time. So through into what is now we think is an overall net 5th position now. Has gone fifth position at the moment currently overall. We've still got those cars as pit stops. Richard Bartlett has made his pit stop in that Mazda MX-5, but we still think that these two Fiestas at the front still have to make this pit stop within this pit window, because they're early stops. As we said, we're not within the pit window as the Nissan wiggles its way past the Dean Clayton Mini through Brooklands.
Stanaway's now also passed the Jones Golf, so that puts him what is an overall 6th position in the race, and he's just done another fastest lap of the race, a 68.202, and he's therefore now into, as I say, 6th, ahead of Jones and then Samwaite as they turn their way through Copse. The race is still being led by Zach Lucas. Second is David Sheed, who's got himself ahead of Jamie White. Feroz Bilimoria is 4th. 5th is Mike Comber. In 6th is Tom Stanway. 7th is Finn Jones. 8th is Ollie Samwaite. 9th is Mark Skeets, and 10th is David Govery. You've got the top 20 positions on your screen, so if you're looking for somebody in particular, that's on your left-hand side of your picture. Here's the battle between Feroz Bilimoria and Mike Comber for what is currently 4th and 5th positions overall. The pit window has now closed. Those two Fiestas haven't pitted again, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. I'll let you sort that out later, Scott. Here's the Caterham out there. That's 45. That's Chris Payne, the Caterham 7. There's Tom Stanway now catching those two cars rather rapidly of Bilimoria and Comber. It's about 2 seconds a lap quicker, so he should catch them pretty much by the next lap, I should think. Another fastest lap from Stanway, a 68 dead, 1:08.000.
One thing we should mention is that the Feroz Bilimoria Mini is actually lapping quicker, it seems, than the Sheedon Edison BMW, because the last lap was 1 minute 10.6 compared to a 1 minute 11. Now, of course, there's always the chance that traffic can be a factor in that, but as you can see there, the white, red and blue Mini just skirting around with its rear tyres as it braked as it went up the inside of the Goddens in their BMW 116. And also in there too appears to be the Sheerdon Comba car as well. So actually this could be closing up pretty nicely, because Tom Stanway is now closing in on what should be what we think is, compared to these two Fiestas, I guess we have to call it now overall at the moment, 5th and 6th position. So Villamora up to 4th overall, and trying to chase down, if he can, Sheedon Edison, but of course it all depends on the pace as well, comparison of these two Fiestas in front as well. So plenty of action at the front, and these three cars closing up, and this is going to be quite a fascinating battle between these two. Of course, again, it's a class, again, both in different classes, but they're all in the same class. They're all in the same class, all equally matched, 2, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Three very different cars, of course. A Mini Cooper, a BMW 328, which is now going past the White Comber and Sheared car, and a Mazda MX-5 Mark IV with a sequential gearbox. Three very different cars, all enjoying a fantastic, equally matched race against each other.
That's what's so good about these power to weight ratios. You can have these very different cars. Billy has a big moment through Beckett. We have three very different cars, but they sit into that same power to weight ratio. Therefore, they race in the same class, so they have advantages on different parts of the track. For example, the Mazda will be quicker through the corners, and the BMW quicker down the straight. Big lick of flame out the back of the Billy car. Tom Stanway's done another fastest lap of the race, a 67.328 now. So as the track dries out, he's just getting quicker and quicker, and he passes Billy up the inside into Brooklyn, so that puts him into 4th. I think he could win this race yet still. He's 13 seconds behind the overall leader, Zach Lucas. He's about 7 seconds behind David Sheed, but he's lapping remarkably quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, at least 0.8 of a second quicker, and his last lap, as you mentioned, was the new fastest lap of the race. So look at that times this time by. It's 1 minute 9s again, and 1 minute 7.721, so that was 1.4 seconds quicker than the leader. His gap to current leader Zach Lucas is now just a fraction under 12 seconds. There's a real chance, as you say, I have to agree, that you can catch up with him. That'd be great after he had a bit of unfortunate contact when he got together with the May and Skeets Nissan at Croft and sort of dropped down the order, and I think he still picked up a decent podium in his class, so this would be quite a nice reward for him to come back here at Silverstone in his really nicely prepared BMW 328 to come through and pick up what will be, at least if he can pick up a class win. We've still got to try and beat the Sheedon Edison car, which he is very much lapping much quicker than, and there is the battle for what is currently 2nd and 3rd overall. Sheedon Edison are leading Class B overall, and Jamie White there in the mix. Good to see Jamie back out, actually. Of course, this is his first time in that car. That's David Guthrie's Fiesta off at Beckett's, and whether it's, I don't think it's trapped in the gravel or not, it seems to have had a spin and either stalled or having trouble getting going again.
Yeah, not a very nice place to be, so hopefully you can get that car moving. There's 11 minutes of the race to go. Leading Class A is the Joneses in the Gulf, 46, Mark and Finn, but they are being caught by Ollie Samways. In Class B, it's David Sheed and Malcolm Edison. In Class C, it's Stuart Donovan's Toyota. In Class D, it's George Grant, and in Class E, it's Oliver Fowler in that BMW Compact. So we've had 22 laps of the race. It's Zach Lucas that leads by 6 seconds over David Sheed, who's got Jamie White all over the back of him. Then a gap of 4 seconds to Tom Stanway. 5th is for Jose Bilimoria. In 6th is Mike Comber. 7th is Finn Jones. 8th is Ollie Samways. 9th, David Skeets, and 10th is Stuart Donovan.
It's good to see George Grant leading his class. I'm pretty sure that he'll be quite delighted with that if he holds on to that course. So he's got to try and hold off if he can Nick Rutter. And looking at the lap times there, it's actually fairly well matched between the two of them, actually. So there's only a bit of a difference, roughly about half a second in terms of lap time. So if you can stay there, that'd be quite good. There's the unique Caterham 21 of David Fender in amongst the big gaggle of cars. A couple of MX-5s having a good battle. That's Jonathan Fields then, the 53, behind Luke Souch in the 291 at the moment.
Tom Stanway's passed Jamie White for 3rd place now, and he's caught David Sheed. So these are two Class B cars. It's the battle for Class B, and the battle for what is currently 2nd overall. The two E36 shaped cars, the Compact and the 328i, turn their way through Copse Corner. Tom Stanway carries more speed through the corner, but there's yellow flags, of course, on the run way down to Beckett, because the Fiesta that was off, the marshals have got it out of the gravel and got it back going again. So great work there. I don't think yellow flags will be out for too much longer, and therefore the battle can continue. The marshals escape the scene. There's loads of cars heading down towards Beckett's at the moment, and of course everybody's got to be careful here not to pass while they are still under yellow flags. Fiesta and a Clio there together. That's the Robert Quantrell and John Marlowe Renault Clio. But here's the battle for the Class B win, and Tom Stanway looks up the inside. There's 9 minutes of this race still to go. At the moment, David Sheed hanging on, but Tom Stanway takes a much tighter line, bouncing over the curbs on the inside of the corner. Then he goes round the outside through Luffield, and he goes all the way around. We've seen this move done already today, and can Tom Stanway make it work? Not yet. The slightly bigger engine compact stays in front for now.
Yeah, great battle between two, as you say, effectively the same car in many cases, but obviously one being a compact, the other one being a saloon, but very evenly matched in many cases. They're coming up behind the David Guthrie Fiesta that's just been recovered. Of course, that's the Boomerang racing car that's run by Alex Bohm, who's been in this Clubsport Trophy race before. He did a couple of races, did the race at Campbell Park last year as well in preparation for some other racing he was doing later in the year. Just coming up behind the Georgia Speed and Matt Mills Mini Cooper, which is back towards the tail of the hood. It's back in 28th position in 7th in Class D at the moment, so just trying to make its way through. And Jamie White, as I was about to mention, Jamie White, nice to see him back at the wheel of the Fiesta, because last time we saw that was a couple of years ago, and that's one of the many turbo cars. In fact, that's actually the car that's been converted into an ST180. It was originally still his car that he did race in what was Class D, which he took the title twice, and all the two BMWs come to contact, and I think Tom Stanway's being rather polite there, saying, right, my fault, hands up, and he lets him go. So Stanway just took a little peek up the inside. I don't think maybe that he expected Sheed to close the door as quick as he did, and because of that there was a little bit of contact, but that was quite nice courteous way from Tom. He put his hands up immediately, went, sorry, didn't intend that, and just let him go, and so he's going to try and get him back a little bit low. So that's good driving from both. Well, Sheed to recover, but also for Tom Stanway to accept his mistake, let him get to take the position and get back going again before he did. Now they can have a proper battle now with some 7.5 minutes still to go.
And Tom Stanway carries lots of speed through Cops Corner, so this might be the moment that he grabs the class lead heading down into Maggots. He's alongside, he's nosing ahead, and on the brakes he goes through to Tom Stanway, who tried the move at Brooklands, gets past after a good run out of Cobbs. Wondered there if he was going to run out of road at Beckett's, because he braked very, very late. But yes, he's through then ahead of David Sheed, who's right on his tail again, who's got a bit more power in a straight line. Well, let's see if David Sheed can fight back. He goes to the outside line into Brooklands. They've got the Stuart Humphrey Mazda to lap, who is in front of them. I think Tom Stanway has got it done then. So he caught David Sheed quickly, so I should think he'll be able to pull away now he's in front. He is 10 seconds behind Zach Lucas, who is still leading on the road, so I don't really know quite what's going on there with their pit stops, but they're not pitting again.
I'm not sure if there's been any image. There hasn't been a penalty for them to apply if that's the case, if they've missed the pit window, because usually it will come up on if there's a time penalty, which is I think what you get, either that or a stop go for not pitting within the pit window. You get some kind of a penalty for that, and there'll be a red exclamation mark next to his number on the timing screen, but it hasn't appeared. So whether or not Zach Lucas's car, if pit stop is still counting in many cases, I have to wait and see. There's the Ed Banks and the Jeremy Banks Ed Raprager car. As you mentioned, that's the car which we have to say former shed dweller turned sim racer turned racing driver Jimmy Broadbent drove for a couple of meetings. Of course, he's now moved on to racing in Britcar in one of the many Pragas that compete in that championship. Yeah, good to see that car back out. Yeah, that car's been repaired a number of times this year. It's raced in all kind of categories and got rather beaten up at Donington Park last month, and I think at Brands Hatch last week. So the 40-40 racing team have got it back, and it looks pristine again, so well done guys. You made it look in much better health than when I last saw it, but that car, as you say, with those two in it, it's down in 37th position, and it's out there though. It's hopefully having a good time, the drivers in it, and it's not the quickest car in a straight line. I don't think the rear wing helps it speed at all, but it gives it a different look. I think that's fair to say. Race continues. There's only 5 minutes to go. It's Zach Lucas that leads by 9 seconds from Tom Stanway. In third is Malcolm Edison. In fourth is Jamie White. Fifth is Ollie Samwade. Sixth is Feroz Billamoria. Seventh is Mike Comber. Eighth is David Skeets. Ninth, Stuart Donovan. And 10th is Alec Livesey. The top 20 cars are on your screen if you're looking for anybody in particular. The classes: Class A is headed by Ollie Samwade. Class B by Tom Stanway. Class C by Stuart Donovan. Class D by George Grant.
George Grant leads Class D by 76 thousandths of a second from Nick Rutter.
Right.
So we've had 3 MX5 Super Cup races already today, and another one's broke out here for the Class D win. In Class E in this race, by the way, it's still Ollie Fowler that leads. He's in 11th overall. He's actually beating all the Class D cars impressively. But yeah, so there's Grant versus Rutter for a class win here in the final stages of this race. So we'll have to see if we can catch up with those two cars. There's more yellow flags at Beckett, so obviously somebody else has had a moment.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's off camera at the moment. Good to see Matthew Spencer there, because in his STXR Challenge car, he was out yesterday, if I'm correct, in the City Car Cup in his own car as well. So he's had a very busy weekend, as have many. Now there's the battle now. It looks though that Grant has stayed ahead of Rutter at this point in time, so there must be traffic that's played a part in that. But those two actually went pretty much head to head in many cases. They were the two main contenders for class win last time, and the only difference was, in many cases, Nick Rutter won that time, and he had the help. It's been a long day. Had the help of a certain Rob Boston alongside him as a co-driver, and they went on to win their class. So it's interesting now that George Grant, and those cars both are Rob Boston prepared cars, so it really is an inter-team battle. The Sheed and Edison, David Sheed's got back past the Tom Stanway BMW now with 3.5 minutes to go, and he just turned the fastest lap of the race on the last time by, and they're still going side by side with another BMW. They're either Bermuda and Oliver Fowler, who I think is still leading Class E, if I'm correct. He is in the mix. So 3 very different spec BMW E36s, 2 compacts and a saloon, but all having a great battle amongst each other. Of course, before Fowler's car was being lapped, but the 2 BMWs in the mix for second and third overall are doing great. But there's Zachary Lucas as he cocks a wheel through Chops corner and makes his way down towards the right-hander at Beckett's now with just under 3 minutes to go. And I know there's a little bit of suspension testing in many cases going in this race amongst just enjoying themselves and having a good time. But there's another Fiesta racing the wrong way. That was the Tom Hodgson car, I think, racing the wrong way. So a rotation for the X-Mark Court car, and that car trying to get underway back again if it can.
So yeah, it's Zach Lucas that leads the race then, with this rather large question mark hanging over what the result of the race will be. But yeah, David Sheed has got back through. There's the Fiesta off at Beckett's. Tom Stanway was all over the curve through Brooklands, absolutely on the edge. Not quite sure how he lost the lead, because on the previous lap he set another fastest lap, a 67.121. They're 7 seconds behind Lucas, this man that exits Luffield Corner as the race leader with 2 laps of this race to go. So he turns his way through Woodcote. In front then by this not particularly big margin, but yeah, we're not quite sure if that's going to end up to be the total result. Behind, it's still Sheed ahead of Stanway by 1800ths of a second for the Class B victory. That's what, something we can say for certain. So in the background, are we going to see these 2 BMWs exit Copse? Which one's going to be in front? We're not going to see that, I'm afraid. We're going to carry on looking at our race leader. We haven't seen much of him, and he is leading the race. It's Zach Lucas then in 111, who made this early pit, so I'm not even sure if it was 2 minutes, to be honest, because that wasn't under race conditions and they remained on the lead lap, so not quite sure. It's in the invitational class, so does it need to run to the regulations? I don't know. Either way, that's the leader on the road. Second is Sheed, and third is Stanaway, with Ollie Samways now up to 4th. He's got himself ahead of Jamie White. Feroz Billamori has been caught for 6th by Mark Skeets. They were separated by 97 thousandths of a second, with Mike Comber right behind. 3 cars battling for third within Class B. That Class D battle, by the way, George Grant's now keeping that gap over the chasing car of Nick Rutter. Here though comes the leader passing the last lap board, so Zach Lucas starts the final lap of the race as he heads down towards Copse Corner. In the background you can see a change for the Class B lead. Tom Stanway's got back ahead of David Sheed in this it's been quite a long battle. Stanway caught really quickly, but he hasn't been able to keep ahead for very long at the time.
Yeah, this is for mention. That is kind of essentially the battle for the lead in many cases, because the invitation class car, obviously being an invitation one, it's not within the main class, so it will win on the road overall, and we classify as being win overall. But the actual victory, if you like, for the Clubsport Trophy will come from the cars within the 5 classes. So Tom Stanway essentially will be the winner in many cases. But Zach Lucas certainly proving the pace of these Turbo Fiestas. Jamie Going did it at Croft, of course, when he charged his way through, and it's good to see more and more of these cars out, and it's good to see them using it as a bit more extra track time as these cars continue to develop. They're brand new cars for this year, just behind Richard Bartlett. But brilliant way to end what's been a fantastic weekend of racing at Silverstone. It looks like they come up to the checkered flag and take what looks to be either way, a fairly well-deserved win and a fairly dominant performance all round.
Yes, as Zach Lucas then comes out of Woodcote Corner, he takes the checkered flag, he wins the final race of the day, he wins the race of the BRSCC Clubsport Trophy. The David Sheed card's being penalised, by the way, for a track limit infringement, so I don't think it's going to affect the results so much, but Tom Stanway takes second overall, the Class B win and the fastest lap on the last lap, a 66.794. David Sheed takes third in the car he shares with Malcolm Ederson. Fourth goes the way of Jamie White. Fifth and winning Class A is Ollie Samways. In sixth is the Nissan of David May and Mark Skeets, just finishing ahead of Paul Sheard and Mike Comber. For Jose Villamoria dropped to 8th at the end. And ninth to take the Class C win is the Toyota Celica of Stuart Donovan. They're the cars on the lead lap. Already taken the flag to win Class D is George Grant. He beat Nick Rutter by 9/10 of a second. And to take the flag in Class E, Ollie Fowler in the BMW Compact takes the checkered flag. So in the classes, Class A won by Ollie Samways. Second to Mark Newbold, Mark Court and Colin Newbold. Third in Class A goes the way of David Govery. In Class B, Tom Stanway won over David Sheed and Malcolm Ederson. Third was David May and Mark Skeets. In Class C, Stuart Donovan won from Jeremy Crook and Alec Livesey. And third in that class was Robert Quantrell and John Marlowe. In Class D, George Grant beat Nick Rutter and the car of Seamus Heaney. And then in Class E, Ollie Fowler won by quite a long way over Oak Richardson, and third in that class is Dean Clayton. So that concludes the action here on track from this British Racing and Sports Car Club meeting at Silverstone, and it's great way to end the race in. So let's take a quick look at the highlights of that race. It was a bit of a confusing one at times, it has to be said. Away they went with this huge 40 car grid. It was Jamie White that led, John Cooper I should say, that led early on. But then the more powerful Clubsport Trophy cars come through with Tom Stanway leading from Paul Sheard, and then the Toyota of Ollie Samways. Malcolm Ederson had a bit of a moment there with the Nissan in front of him having a spin of David May. Then we had a rollover for the car of Marco Ricci. He was okay, he got out the car. And then we had a very long safety car period where everybody made their pit stops amongst it. Everybody, you should see, peeled their way into the pit lane to make their 2-minute mandatory stops. The Silverstone pit lane became very busy. The race restarted with Edward Raprager's BMW 116 leading the way. He got swallowed up by all the more powerful cars. Richard Bartlett was the leader here in his Mazda MX-5 Mark 1 because he didn't pit in the pit stop in the safety car period. We had a Caterham out there, that was Chris Payne. Ferose Billamoria was there in the Mini. He made a good pit stop, managed to jump some cars, but he was passed then by Tom Stanway here, who was the quickest driver out there, setting the fastest lap. David Govery, he had a spin in his Fiesta. Then Tom Stanway set off after David Sheed in the battle for Class B. They had a come-in together at Brooklands, but they both got away unscathed, really. And finally, into Beckett's, Tom Stanway took the position to take the class win. Another car that spun was Tom Hodgson's Ford Fiesta. And that left Zach Lucas to take the win on the road in the invitational run Ford Fiesta from the Fiesta Championship. That concludes racing here from Silverstone. It's been great to cover the BRSCC race day, and we can head back down to Scott Woodwis, who's with our winning Clubsport Trophy drivers.
So, heading into what's now going to be the podium for the final race of the day, of course, and we've got not only essentially Class A, but effectively overall race winner, because the invitation class isn't quite towards the overall result. So Tom Stan with the BMW. That was a mega race in many cases, particularly towards the end, having a fantastic battle with the Sheed and Edison BMW, and yeah. I can see the smile behind you, Marsh. You really enjoyed that.
It was great, actually. I made a massive error on the pit stop and missed the pit window, but it actually turned into a great race because I had loads of opportunities to overtake. It was the best race I've done. Yeah, without a doubt. Awesome.
So it's great to have you in the series, of course. Just tell us about the car you've got, of course. It's a BMW 328i, but you've done sort of a super touring homage to it, haven't you?
Yeah. So BMW Racing Parts, they've supplied all the fiberglass parts, including the front bumper. Great guys there. So look, I'm well happy. We spent a lot of time designing it, me and my friend. and it just came out exactly how he wanted it, basically. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. And of course, you had a very decent race at Croft. Of course, you're in the mix as well, of course, today. You seem to be really loving the car and loving the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The car's been, touch wood, absolutely faultless. It's I built it myself in the garage light, so yeah, pretty pleased with it.
Yeah. And how nice is it to be up against other cars that are carsing around you, even in Class A? This is the great thing about the power to weight ratio, is that regardless in some cases, some of the higher class cars, you can keep with them, you can have a nice battle, and it's a really nice, unique way to go racing in some cases.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about this circuit, because I know the car's not particularly up there in the Class B. It's sort of, it only just scrapes into the Class B, so I was a bit worried about the power of it, because it's a lot about power on this circuit. But yeah, the tyres that I changed from qualifying to the race made it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, great stuff. We'll let you get your trophy and your champagne for getting Class B, so well done for that one. Congratulations on the overall and Class B win. We've got 5 Class wins to get through. Let's see if we can have a chat next with our Class A winner, which is Ollie Samways over here in this fantastic Toyota. So we'll quickly have a quick word. So we'll let Charlotte take the picture first. Charlotte, white coordinator, first of all, and then we'll have a chat with our Class A man, which of course is Ollie Samways. Have a quick chat. Ollie, again, I can see the smile behind your mask as well. You're made up with that Class A win, aren't you?
Absolutely buzzing, yeah. First class win. This is the 4th year racing now, and I've been chasing it, and here we are, standing here right today. So, hell of a sketchy race. Fair play to Tom, who was absolutely on the limit the whole way around there. Couldn't do anything about it, and yeah, here we are. So, really pleased with it.
Quick word about your car as well. Of course, it's a brilliant prepared Toyota MR2. It's technically a Toyota MR2 Super GT in many cases. So, tell us about it and how long you've had it and what the history is.
Yeah, so it was built by Rogue Motorsport. They built 3 of these cars. Originally it was for Britcar, and I think it was about 2013, 2014. There was 3 made, and I was lucky enough to pick one up 3 years ago. And I've been practicing racing ever since. This is my 2nd season doing BRSCC Clubsport. It's also in road sports as well, and yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled, as you can tell. Speechless part. So.
Excellent. In terms of your next outing with us, when are you out next?
Snetterton, next month.
Excellent. Good stuff. And hopefully more the same and other trophies to take home, fingers crossed.
Absolutely, fingers crossed.
Good stuff. Well done, you've driven superbly today. Well done, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Take care.
Good stuff. Right, 3 more class winners to do. Let's have a chat with Class C winner, which is Stuart Donovan and his Toyota Celica. Stuart, great job from yourself, and nice trophy to take home and a class win. I think you'll take that, won't you?
Yes, very happy. I won here actually last time in September, BRSCC, so it's good to come back and do the same again. Yeah,
so you seem to like this car track combo. Seems to work well.
This car and track combo works very, very well for me. Yeah, so delighted.
Yeah.
Very good. It was pretty chaotic the first lap. There was cars all over the place at T1, but managed to avoid that, and then lined up and just kept my foot in, and off I went. Yeah. So.
You've got quite almost like an army, Celica, because you've got 4 or 5 in your ranks. You've got yourself and Kelly and stuff.
Yeah, we've got 6 in the team altogether. They're all slightly different. This one is differentiated. I've got sequential box in this by Quaife, which makes a big difference, especially on tracks like this. You save quite a lot of time just by flat shifting. So yeah, very pleased.
Excellent. And then next time out, we'll see you.
I think I'm going to come at Snetterton actually. I'll get Snetterton booked up and join you there for the 300.
Brilliant. We look forward to it. Go and enjoy your trophy and your champagne, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Cheers.
Good stuff. Right, 2 more class winners to do. I want to save the best to last, arguably. Let's bring our Class E winner. 2nd time in a row this year, Ollie Fowler. First time we did it whilst Compact Cup was there. Now you've done it without Compact Cup being there. So I think you're quite liking this format, aren't you?
Yeah, I did enjoy it at Croft, and it was a wet one, so I thought we'll try hopefully go out and be a dry one. And then it was nice all week, and the weather turned. I thought we might get another wet one, but it dried up for us. We're only 45 minutes down the road, so I thought we'll come out and have a little play this afternoon. Enjoyed it.
Bit of extra testing so you can try and get a leg up on Mr. Daly, I suppose.
No, I missed around. Yeah, there's not a lot you can say about him, is there?
Yeah, but good stuff anyway, because it's good to show that the car's competitive in the class and show that you've got some confidence in it. So you're kind of riding high at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, it's really good. The car's performing really well. Traffic was pretty good, to be honest, today. It's quite wide here at Silverstone, so apart from that, the other guys have probably mentioned it as well, that first corner was pretty sketchy, but apart from that, it was good. It was a good race.
So next time out in Clubsport, when do you reckon?
I don't know if I'm going to do any more this year. I think that might be it for Clubsport. I've got some other things going on, a couple of rounds in the Compact Cup later in the year, but no, I think that'll be it for Clubsport this year for me.
Yeah, you've got a rather fast Scotsman to catch, haven't you?
Yeah, put some effort into that.
Good stuff. Well done on Class E victory. Good to see you again. And if it is the last time, thanks for taking part. And we'll see you in a Compact Cup paddock in a few weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Now I do want to go speak to. I've arguably saved the best till last because he's very, very happy with his Class win, and good reason. Class D victor is the one and only. He's already set his stall out, George Grant. Mr. Grant, what do we say about that? Class D victory, how'd you like that?
Well, it's fantastic, really. I mean, it's Nick did the win at Croft, so and I qualified third, but yeah, it was nip and tuck all the way. Nick got in front of me actually towards the end. I managed to pip him on the pit stop. And then he got past me, and then I did a bit of a chess piece with all the other sort of vagrants in front of me, and just managed to just keep the car. I mean, Rob Boston's produced a fantastic car for me, and I have to say, it's quite nice to improve, So, 2021 has been really fantastic. It's been a great weekend in the Super Cup because I've just done 3 races. Yeah, so you've got to keep fit for this.
Yeah. You had enough punishment in 3 races. You wanted a 45-minute one to round things off.
Absolutely. So hopefully the boys at Downforce will be very proud of us.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, I certainly am, at least in many cases, being a Downforce person myself. Not biased at all. But in many cases, great stuff. Again, brilliant to see you out in club sport. Brilliant class winning. I know you were going to celebrate it because you always do. So.
Absolutely. No, but thanks very much, and thanks to the BRSCC for putting on a great show. Thanks very much, guys. All the best.
Go enjoy it, mate.
Thank you, Scott. Take care.
Good stuff.